So, hello. Welcome to another of my series of conversations and tutorials. My name is John Cornicello, and I'm going live on Monday and Thursday with these. But before we start, I want to mention that on Thursday, May 21st, I'm going to have Rick Salmon on for a class. Rick Salmon has written more than 40 books on photography and nature. And on Monday, May 20-something or other, I'll be presenting a lighting class here. By now, some of you notice that today is not Monday or Thursday, but sometimes it's hard to tell. But today is actually Tuesday, and my special guest is Lindsay Adler. Lindsay is
Hey
a
guys.
well-known fashion photographer and great educator. Her and I have known each other since about 2012, and you've seen us together on Creative Live. So I hope you have some questions ready for us. This photo is, I think, back from 2012, as is this one. But let's hand it over to Lindsay. I'm going to stop this share
Hi,
here.
John.
Hello.
John, I adore you, and I remember my first presentations on Creative Live. And I remember thinking, who is this dude with the beard and the bandana? Is he this like badass biker dude? And then I realized that you are the sweetest, most cuddly, wonderful person. And I mean, if people have seen on Creative Live, sometimes when I would present and have a question, I would direct my questions right to you in the class because you know everything. Like everything. It's amazing. So thanks for inviting me, and thanks for always being so supportive. You're lovely.
Sure.
And by the way, in case people didn't notice, look, John and I have matching backgrounds. He's on the dark side and I'm on the light side.
Mine's a fake one, though.
So cute, though. Hi, I'm waving to the lovely people here. So how does this work? Do you all do you guys join because you have questions or because I know you, or just going to chat with me?
We're just going to kind of chat. I'll start it out by asking what you've been up to with this Ryers thing. Because I know you used to travel every day. Every time I'd see you, I only have 10 minutes. I got to go to the airport. I'm only going to be here for a minute.
Yeah. So this is the longest in my adult life that I haven't taken a flight. But honestly, it's fine. I think probably like most people, I had a few, it was really weird in the beginning because at first I'm like, this is awesome. Okay, loosely, because you know what? It's going to force me to slow down. It's going to force me to catch up on some work and things I've been meaning to do. And then there were like 2 weeks where I just binged TV and did nothing and felt sorry for myself. And then I picked back up. And I think where I'm at now is just like a nice, even keeled level of productivity. Like I'm actually getting stuff done, but not work. Like I take enough breaks. So long story short, I found my equilibrium of not feeling overly insane. So this is good. It's moving the right direction. And I talked to you already, John, but
yeah.
It seems like you, not only have you found an even keel, you've actually ramped up and you're doing more than ever.
Yes, we were talking about some of these classes. So let's talk about your early days, how you got started in photography.
Sure. Okay, so first and foremost, I will say that I am definitely one of those super lucky people because I found photography before I was even a teenager, and I had wholeheartedly devoted myself to being a professional photographer by the time I was 15. I mean, I know that some people find photography relatively early in life, but I formed my business when I was 15. You know, I was taking it pretty serious. So my mom, my grandma, my aunt, and I know I didn't meet him, but my great grandfather were all hobbyist photographers. They all did it for fun. I was the first professional, but we treated it at my family's. I grew up on a farm, believe it or not, but we treated it like scavenger hunts. It was a way to bond with my family. So we'd go around and we'd go look for mushrooms, or we'd take up close-up pictures of cows, which I think sounds funny if you know what my work looks like now. Looks nothing like that. But I think one of the things that's probably most important is that when I first started off, people encouraged me. Like I belonged to this little photo club community that was all old people. No joke. I was like 60 years younger than most people. And they were so encouraging, so excited to have me there. I would do photo competitions and they'd have events and I'd learn. And so I just started off with such a love for the photo community because they nurtured me, which is why I love the photo community now. I know how it makes you feel part of something and it brings you joy. And so I've had that since the beginning. So I'm super lucky.
Great. If
That is
people
so
have,
cool.
yeah, please join in
Hey,
with
girl.
questions and comments.
How have you been doing?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Are you safe over there?
Yes, I am. And you?
I'm thinking so. I went back into New York for one day and got some, stuff. So it was empty and it was very strange. There's like no cars on the road and stuff. And, trips that usually take 45 minutes were like 6. But I was supposed to, she was actually supposed to be assisting me about, let's see, how many, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
In Norway. So listen, I can't feel too sorry for myself. Like life is good and it's fine, but we were meant to be together and I was meant to be teaching. And then I was going to go to the fjords and explore and do beautiful, but
So now you're just pining for the fjords.
So I went to New Zealand once and I was just like, I'm in another planet universe. This is amazing. And I felt like, since I loved it so much, kind of the next thing on that list of not the same, but same vibe would be Norway.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy, come here. It usually works if I say treats, carrots. My dog barking. Do you want a
Lindsay,
carrot?
Yeah, Joe.
Lindsay, I have a question for you. Just,
Hi, Joe.
I'm wondering if going forward, do you think the kind of work you do or the way you do your work, are you just trying to sit this out and get back to what you've always done? Or do you see like some permanent change in just, what you're doing with your business and your photography?
Oh, awesome question. I think it's the question that literally everybody is stressing about and freaking out about. And I get it. Okay. So there's a couple things. First and foremost, the first way that I approach this, and I actually recommend everyone do something like this. Teach their own how you run your business, but I put together a 10-page PDF that I sent out to my first client today, but I'm going to try to do more throughout the week. So in the PDF, I call it Reopening Safety Protocols and Virtual Services. So the first 5 pages are all the virtual services I can offer. So for example, one of the things that I can do is if you are an art director, for example, or an ad agency, I can have a live stream of the shoot. And then as I'm shooting the images, I can have them automatically uploaded for your viewing so they can comment and review. So I wrote out, that process. So basically virtual art direction. I also explained that if you have particular models or influencers that you work with, I can do virtual production. So what that means is I would, based on the lighting and what you're trying to achieve, I could build a lighting setup, like how the shoot needs to look, send the gear, and then they can have a Zoom conference with me. I can direct the model. I can show them how to tether. And then as they're shooting, the images go to the art director. So it's the same thing, but no one's on set because a lot of brands work that way. I also said I can help. I've been using a program that's virtual lighting setups. It's like a virtual studio. So I can also, instead of doing a pre-shoot day or a pre-light day, which happens a lot in commercial photography, I can do virtual light days where I'll set up a variety of virtual setups for you to choose from, and then we can implement on the shoot day. So long story short, this PDF first half is like, here's all the things I can do virtually for you. And then the second half is my current safety protocols and how I will set up the studio for things to be safe. And in New York, I believe they pushed the stay at home till the end of May. But I think photography would maybe be able to open up like June 6th or something. So long story short, I know things change. I put in it that it'll adapt, but I'm preparing the way that if I went into another business and want to feel safe, I'm trying to do the same thing for my clients. So I'm going way long on your answer, but the first part is I just did a ton of prep. Like I just spent 2 days. So it's like nicely designed. It looks really professional. So I don't think I'm just throwing this together. They know that I take it seriously. And hopefully I actually think it potentially could get me more jobs. And the reason I think it could get me more jobs is if you're going to a big studio, it's often because you're trying to do big sets and lots of people and big productions. But that's not going to be permitted or advisable for a while. So if I have a small set in my studio where we keep the whole production to 4 people and then you're virtually art directing, I think a lot of clients are actually going to prefer that, not only for their budgets because they're going to have to tighten them up after all this, but also because of safety concerns and, you know, the model's safety as well. So yeah, so I think for people where I'm at, it might actually help me. And also maybe some of the photographers that they had worked with in the past, maybe they don't have access to a studio, maybe they're no longer shooting, like whatever. It might be the opportunity for me to get in with clients I've never been in with before. And then that you just need that first foot in the door to completely change your career. So like I'm cautiously optimistic. Sorry for the
That's great.
long-winded answer.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Thank you very much.
Are
You're
you
welcome.
shooting anything during this time?
So to be honest, I haven't been one of those people doing virtual shoots. I know I could, but it's not like it doesn't fulfill me. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
I'm the same way on virtual. I mean, are you just shooting things around the house? You know, I've gone crazy with the macro lens and flowers and things like that just to keep my
If you
eye.
count the 8,000 photos of my dog on my phone, then yes.
Okay.
And I take a lot of dog and myself selfies. They don't go anywhere, but they're just for me to enjoy. I'm not quite sure why, but there's a lot of dog Lindsay selfies. I have been working in that virtual studio a bit, playing around with it, because it simulates lighting setups, and I've been messing around there. So when things are back up and going, that I'll have some interesting experiments in the studio that I can try. So I find that fulfills my creativity a bit, because it's showing me what I could get, and then I'll go do it.
Yeah. While we were waiting, a question came up. Do people print their photos? How do you take in your own photos for yourself? Do you print many of them, or is it mostly online or just on your machine?
I've been printing. I've been printing more for sure. I just remodeled my apartment, so I printed out a couple big photos for the wall. I did eventually get a larger format printer, so I have kind of the ability to print huge prints. Honestly, most of the time I print images to make other people happy. So like I have this model friend who I knew that she was remodeling her place, like, you know, painting the walls and fixing things up. And I asked her what her favorite photo we had done together was. And so I printed her a 30 by 40 print. And so she's got it huge on her wall. A lot of times if there's makeup artists that I've worked with, I'll print out images for them to decorate their space. So like I more do it because I know that sometimes we photographers do print, but nobody else does. Like these makeup artists, hairstylists, like they're definitely not printing them. So it puts me in a special place in their heart and a special place on their wall when I do.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's also cool when you see people, you know, they're live streaming or whatever online, and you see the photos in the background, like, oh, they put them up. Like it.
Oh, like this one or this?
Yeah, that one. See, I think it's pretty freaking awesome to feel like someone liked your work enough to put it on their wall. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know, like I'm not one of those people that has, although I'm working on it, a billion photos everywhere. So the ones I choose, I love. But I am in our bedroom, I have these little, they're 8-inch square frames with the 6-inch print. Do you guys know the Magnum print sales? Have you heard of those? So
square prints.
Yeah. So the Magnum print sales, Magnum agency, they do sales, what, twice a year, John, I think?
Yeah, I'm not sure the schedule, but yes, they do a couple of sales.
and they're like sometimes famous photos and
Mhm.
sometimes famous photographers. And so I usually buy 2 prints. They're $100 a piece.
Yeah.
I buy 2 prints per session. So I'm trying to fill out like
Nice.
an art wall in the bedroom. So
Great.
it's going
Over
to just
in
be a while.
Yeah, over in the chat, Stephen Gotts is saying he's taking your classes at Photoshop World and online, and he recently taught for Kelby One, and it's changing things. He's interested in hearing how teaching has changed your life.
Oh, what a good question. So true. Couple of things. First of all, teaching makes me a better photographer, full stop, 1,000%, because when I have to stop and figure out what the heck I'm doing, like not just what did I do naturally, what did my brain tell me was right, but actually analyze it, then it makes me better and faster the next time I need to do it. And that comes with lighting and posing. Like before I taught the posing class on Creative Live, I could pose, but I didn't know why. And so I spent forever developing that class. And then all of a sudden, now when I'm struggling with a pose, I figured it out like that rather than having to like try 8 billion different solutions. The other thing is that, so the New York City fashion world, I definitely don't have other photo friends. Like I have a couple. It tends to be hairstylists and makeup artists and my friends. But because of teaching, I have all of you photo friends. Like it's a benefit of enriching social life with people that share the same passions. But in New York, it's a little bit less friendly / more competitive. So
Yeah, and I find when
nice.
teaching, I learn from the students too. I mean, the question and
Totally.
answer part is my favorite part of everything we do.
Listen, I question and answer you all the time. I'm asking you tons of stuff. You're an encyclopedia. But also, if you've always felt that way, and how long have you been shooting for?
I bought my first camera in 1972, I think.
So if since
That
1972,
was like
you,
sophomore in high school or so.
oh, that's cute. I like that. But I mean, if you've been picking up little tidbits ever since then, hence the
Yeah, but I
encyclopedia.
took some time off, and Creative Live actually sparked me back into things. You know,
I didn't know that.
I saw them running some classes, and it seemed like they needed some help, so I volunteered, and it all started coming back really quick. You know, the
What
first one
did
that I
you do
really
in between? Like
I
you
worked at
didn't you
Adobe.
didn't.
I worked at Adobe for 20 years.
Oh, right. But what
I
was
mean,
what was the department? What did you
I
do?
did the online communities, forums, discussion boards. I watched people yell at each other. But
Oh, the
I was
dregs
also,
of society.
yeah, I was also doing photos during that time. And then Creative Live came along, and the first one I worked with was Jeremy Cowart. And
Oh,
people watching
fabulous.
it were all saying, "Wow, how long have you been working with each other? How long have you known each other?" And it's like, "Well, we met about an hour ago."
So cute.
You know, so
Yeah, but
yeah.
that also shows the common language that we photographers have with
Hmm.
one another. I mean, certainly not all personalities work together, but I mean, I know because like you and I would think alike, and so I would
Hmm.
go for something and you would already have it
Right. I used to call
because
that my mind reading routine. You
all
know,
the
what if we
time.
try? Here it is. What-
Oh, thanks. Yeah, totally.
that was
Uh,
always fun.
but I like it because we kind of can read each other's minds if we
Hmm.
have similar knowledge base.
Yep.
Because we go, oh, what about that? What do you think about the shadow area? Oh, I was just thinking about it. Yeah,
So, what street
totally.
is your studio on in New York?
It's 26th and 10th. So
Okay, I
I'm.
started out at 23rd and 10th.
You did?
A catalog studio there. Yeah.
Really? So right now on the corner of 23rd and 10th, there's an art gallery.
Yeah, this was,
Was that
I think it was 525. It was in the middle of the, sort of in the middle of the block, just on the other side of the, what do you call that raised?
the High Line?
The High Line. Yeah,
Yeah.
back
No, I
then
know
it was just
exactly where it
railroad
was.
tracks that we used to play on.
Oh God, well, that's not safe.
So they weren't running. They were just covered with weeds back then.
Yeah,
It was a
I mean, it's
catalog
fabulous
studio.
now, but
Yeah, we shot
that's so
8 by
cool.
10 and 11 by 14 chromes for
Really?
catalog work.
I've never even seen 11 by 14.
Yeah,
Literally, I've seen 8 by 10, but
yeah, I wish I still had some of those crumbs. I still have some 8 by 10s.
wow,
It's
that's
pretty
awesome.
amazing. So
So we would have been 4-minute walk from each other.
yeah, yep. So talking again about the teaching and the like, you do a lot of conferences like WPPI and Photo East and the like. What do you see happening to them this year?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. I struggle with this question
Hmm.
because I certainly am not privy to any information about what the future holds more than anyone
Sure.
else. And so I don't know if we will get to a point where we accept a certain how we need to behave and what level of risk we'll take and that these things will still happen. But I just know, like, I'm this technically New York opens up in a bit, but I'm still scared. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not eager to I'm not going to be out and about when I don't need to be. So I think they'll hurt, and I don't know how they're handling it. And virtual, I mean, listen, we're all here,
Hmm.
and we're obviously this has value. However, people go to conferences because they like that one-on-one like in-person interaction in real life because they usually
Right.
feel somewhat uh, isolated.
Yeah. For me, it's usually a big social gathering.
Yeah. And sometimes it's because they want to get away from whatever's at home, and not to be negative, but like, like,
Yeah.
okay, I love you, boyfriend, but I need 2 weeks alone or whatever.
Your boyfriend goes to the same shows.
He go we see each other nonstop, but I really like him, so it's
Well, that's
okay.
nice.
And I am saying it and he can't even hear me, so it's true.
So Gabby's asking, how big is your studio in New York?
My studio is 1,200 square feet. It's got about 300 square feet worth of like equipment room / office space. And so it's about 900 square feet of shooting / hair makeup space. As a note, small spaces, like that's not a small space. I consider it to be a large / medium large space. But the part that I like best about it is the ceilings. So it's got 14.5-foot ceilings.
Nice.
Is when people tell me that they need to, like, oh, how can I shoot in a small space? It's not the side to side or the depth that usually bothers me. It's when it has like 7.5-foot ceilings, like when they're shooting in their basement, that I'm like, oh, that one's a challenge. It's doable, but
It's doable. I mean, I work out of my home here with an 8-foot ceiling, and people ask me how I deal with it and say, it's just there. I don't have any choice at all, so I don't even think about it anymore. I just get lights up as high as possible and work on posing and the like. I mean, you work around your limitations.
one of my first and favorite editorials I did. So the image on the cover of my book, Creative 52, it's a picture I did with light painting, and I shot it against a tiny little wall in my makeup artist's apartment. Like legit, I think it was a 6 by 6 foot space. Like it was itty bitty. And it's one of my favorite photos. Like I'm super proud of that image. So, you only restrict yourself as much as you.
What color are the walls in your studio?
They are white with a gray floor, but I
Okay.
have lots of V flats
Mm-hmm.
for the bounce of the light if I
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, my first studio was on West 29th Street between 7th and 8th, and it's actually still there. If you watch a bunch of Adorama TV stuff, they shoot a
Yeah.
lot of it in my old studio.
No way. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the person that I shared it with is still there.
Really?
Yeah, so every once in a while I'm watching, I go, that looks familiar. Oh, wow, yeah, okay, that's over there. Yeah, that's my place.
What studio is it? Does it have
Paul
a name?
Josabello
Okay, I'm gonna look this
and
up.
Daniel, what's Daniel's last name? Daniel from Adorama does all the Adorama
Okay.
shows. Yeah,
Well,
they share that now.
on my street, so on 26,
Mhm.
if you go 2 blocks over to the east, is Peter Hurley's studio.
Yes.
And that would have been just a couple blocks
Yeah, he was
south of where
26
your
between
studio was.
6th and 7th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I remember going to a party on his rooftop once.
It's fabulous rooftop.
Yes.
Like genuinely awesome
Yeah.
rooftop.
Let's see. There's another question coming into chat from Michael Mitchell. What's your process for personal theme shoots? From concept to planning stages to getting talent to mood boards to X, Y, and Z in between. Do you do a checklist? Is there a typical checklist for this?
For the most part, my checklist is in my head, but I'm happy to give you how my approach is. So if it's a personal shoot or a test shoot, I start off by asking myself, what's the purpose of the shoot? Am I testing lighting? Am I trying to create images to attract a certain client? Am I maybe working with a new makeup artist and I want to see, how we work together? So once I figure out the goal of the shoot, then what I usually try to do is set up a mood board with 6 different concepts. And typically my approach is that the first 3 concepts, it doesn't matter the order, it doesn't have to be this throughout, the order of the day, but on my mood board, the first 3 concepts are usually mine, like something that I really want to do. I really want to test this lighting. I'm trying to get this client. So this is a particular image that you see on their mood board or on their social, blah, blah, blah. So I put up those 3. And then what I'll do is I'll figure out my creative team. So I'll figure out, okay, so the date I'm looking to shoot is the 20th. Here's my mood board of 3 images, and I'll reach out to hair, makeup, trying to gather people together. And then I'll see from those people that agreed and were available what they would like to do. Because if those shoots are for free, we're just building portfolio, and I want everybody to feel like they're benefiting. So I'll say to the makeup artist, is there anything you feel like you're missing out of your book? The hairstylist, is there anything that you've heard clients ask for? Is there a technique you wanted to try? So in the end, my mood board will have 6 images, or not 6 images, 6 concepts. And they could have, 3 to 6 images to try to guide that concept. And then once I have those mood boards, I reach out to the modeling agencies. And in New York, there are so many. Like, honestly, there are probably, I don't know, I have a list where I have a contact for probably 35 different modeling agencies. 35 active modeling agencies that will respond and provide options. So we reach out to the modeling agency, and we always have the mood board so that they understand what we plan on doing. Typically, what's not on the mood board that I don't show, but I will show the agent, is that the first look for any model I shoot has basically no makeup. Like, it's, we do a little skincare, cover up a pimple or two, like supernatural. And I do usually just either one light beauty dish or a scrim overhead. And that first shot I do for every single model. It's not anything exciting from my book, but the whole point is that it serves for the model's portfolio. Like, if you look at a model's comp card, anytime they bring their comp card, it is a shot with minimal hair and makeup. It's in black and white. Their eyes look big, like whatever. It's the same thing for every single one. So I try to do that shot for them first. And then after that, we usually, for each model, do something, let's say maybe a little more glam or commercial, like something that I feel is sellable to a client. And then the third look on that model is something creative. So typically when I pick a model, they get 3 looks, and then it just depends on how many models I book for that day. So usually it's 2 models, 3 looks each, 6 looks. There's the story. And I usually come in to set up around 8 a.m. The creative team shows up at 9, model shows up at 9:15. And then we shoot the first model usually 9 to 1 or 2. The second model usually shows up at noon and goes till 6, or 1 and goes till 6, kind of depends. And then we clean up and wrap, and I leave at 7. So it's a 8 a.m. to a 7 p.m. shoot, and it's awesome. And I'm exhausted, but it's that good, like, feel good. Went to the beach and we're out in the sun all day exhausted. It's that. And I do that usually twice a month.
Cool. And Stephen reminded me, it's Daniel Norton from does the Adorama TV shows that shares the studio.
I didn't actually know his last name, but I know which person you're talking about.
Imke asked a question here. For test shoots, what do you need to do in order to be able to use the photographs afterwards, in case you would like a portfolio shoot to be printed and maybe sold as art?
Yeah, so you can submit, you don't give it to the model, you can submit a release of sorts to the agency, and in it you can tell say your intended usage. And so you can say for use on, you could say social media, websites, you could say for sale as fine art prints, you can put it in there. And if the agency has an issue with one of the things you put in there, they will check it, like mark it off and tell you to remove it. So I have different models for different things. If it's for a magazine, as long as the magazine is approved by the agency, they're usually totally fine with it. It just depends. Like if it's a really, I don't know, if it's like the quality of the magazine isn't great or so. But by that, I mean like, if it looks like people paid to be in it that weren't any good, they might not want the model to be in it because it doesn't look high quality enough. But most of the time they're fine with the models being published in a magazine. That's no issue. Where they have issue with is like, you can't use the images for stock. Like you can't go put them up on a stock site. So they usually don't have a problem with fine art prints. You obviously have to talk to them, but I have models that I use for different things. So I have freelance models that don't go through an agency, that I know when I need a release that they're just going to basically sign away their rights. I can use it for stock. I can use it for whatever I want. I have to go with models not in an agency, because when they're in an agency, they would just charge you unrealistic amounts of money, like the money that you would never recoup.
Thank you.
Another
You're
question coming in, and people can unmute and ask questions themselves if they want, but I've got one from David. Where do you go for inspiration? For example, Chris is really into Rembrandt lately, and that shadowy look. Where do you have a muse or muses?
I for sure do. First of all, Chris is sometimes my inspiration. He's lovely. But there's so many photographers I love. I'm going to throw out some names. So one caveat here. I used to get annoyed and this is not hating on guys. I'm just specifically, there were guys that I'd hang around with, these guys in New York that were photographers, and all they would do is throw out photographer names. And this person's so amazing. I never knew who they were talking about. And then they would just talk over my head and I'd be excluded. So me throwing out these names is not to be like, oh yes, I know more photographers than you. Like genuinely, these are people that inspire me and that I really like. So one of them that like to die for, his name is Christian Schuler, Christian with a K. Oh my God. He's a German photographer, and he does these, so it's a little bit of an aside. Usually when I look at a photographer's work, like 9 times out of 10, I can tell if it's a male or a female. I can tell if the photographer was a man or a woman. And this guy, one of the reasons I love his work is it's got sensibilities of both a man and a woman. And it's because his wife is his stylist, and she really inspires him as well. But it's these big sets and big, amazing clothing. Like he does a lot of things with big parachutes and bows, and the lighting's incredible, and it's super saturated colors and it's characters. So Christian Schuler's amazing. Another one that I really like is a photographer by the name, I think he's Norwegian, Solveig Sundsbo. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But I remember when I was in college and just after, I would have an awesome idea for a shoot. And then I'd go and search it. And like, he had already done it better than I ever could. But like, I felt like we were on the same wavelength of ideas. So he's a favorite. And then right now I'm trying to do more research into old Hollywood lighting. And trying to look beyond what I find in a quick image search and really dive deep. So I just got a book from a photographer I didn't know, because of like, Harel and Horst, and like those, at least those are the ones I knew. Did you know, John, I don't know, you know everything. Did you know Clarence Bull?
I don't think so. I mean, I have some books of Hollywood portraits. I'd probably look through and see if he's in there.
Yeah, I had never heard of this person. I bought a Clarence Bull book, and it's beautiful, and it's basically all the images that weren't Harel. It's like all the rest of them. So I get inspiration in lots of places. Those are like the photographers, but I frequently make Chris pause a movie or a show when something's beautiful on the screen to take a picture. Like one of the things we're watching this week, and I would have never in a million years thought I would have liked this. Has anyone here watched the spaghetti westerns? Like they were westerns, but filmed in Italy, and like none of them are really speaking English. Like they're dubbed over, so they just kind of move their mouths and then they or I guess they were speaking Italian. But like with Sergio Leone, we were watching, holy crap, the compositions and the light and like the grit and the color, amazing. And I would have never been interested in that, but Chris put it on and I was like, what are you putting on? What do you want me watch? And then it was fantastic. So I definitely recommend checking out those compositions. Amazing.
Do you do your own retouching or do you send it out to a professional retoucher?
So I did my own retouching for a really long time and then simply could not keep up with the demand. And it was scary because, you know, I felt like retouching was an important part of my look and my style. And now I love it because I send out any skin retouching, like it saves me a ton of time, a ton of stress. But anything that is liquefy or contour or color grading, I still do. So typically I send out the skin retouching and then when an image comes back to me, I still spend another 20 minutes on the image, but it's those finishing like artistic touches rather than like get rid of pimple touches.
How long would a full retouch take?
So if you ask me right now, if I had to do one, probably a heck of a lot longer because I'm out of practice. It used to be an hour. Like if it's a beauty retouch, it may be longer, it may be less, depending on, you know, the person's skin. But like, I felt like I could get it done in an hour and 20 minutes. I feel like now it'd be like 2 hours of me. I'm so out of practice.
One
really
hour
good
is
at the color.
fast.
Yeah. Well, I think also I was good at I got to the point where I was good at balancing the level of perfectionism, like knowing, okay, how close are they actually going to look at this? Because in the beginning, it would take me like 2.5 hours because I would zoom into 100%, well, not 100, 200% and like fix everything. And I got to the point of knowing like, okay,
I
is this
need
going
to
to
learn
be,
that.
yes, because is this going to be in my portfolio? If not, if it's just for social media, let's just make it look good. It's okay. Like, I mean, maybe that's not the way to teach it, but listen, if you have a busy life, do you want to just like so I do those 6 shots, right? Those 6 concepts. For those 6 concepts, I usually would have 2 images retouched per look. So that's 12 images per day. Let's say I often do 2 creative shoot days in a row. So it'd be 24 images at 2.5 hours a piece. I would never like I would have, well, let me say I wouldn't ever have I had no life. Like I used to do that. And then I reclaimed my life.
No more.
It was crazy. I fixed it.
It sounded like someone else wanted to pop in a question.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Lindsay.
Hi.
What do you think has changed the last, when you start your career? What do you think was the most dramatic change in photography since you start? What made you think like, you know what, when I started, I was planning to do this, and now with the time, photography evolved to this, so I have to kind of stay strong to your style or merge to the new stuff?
Oh man, I have like a billion things to say that. I don't have one good, strong answer. There's so many things. First of all, there was never this idea in the past of, well, first of all, there's no need to feed the social media beast. When I started, there wasn't Instagram, for example, where brands are trying to post at least once a day. So on the good side of that, I often get hired to produce social media content. They call it UGC. So UGC means user generated content. So it's supposed to look like someone could have shot it, but it's with more polish and better. It's supposed to look like an influencer. And so we'll cast a model, but she's not supposed to be the most stunning, whatever. She's supposed to look like a normal girl. But that stuff for the big brands can still pay well. So the social media stuff has been beneficial, but I actually think it's going to veer the opposite direction because this all happened. Now they've put it fully actually on the models to do themselves, and they can do a decent job. And so now the brands are saying like, well, why don't we just cut the photographer out of this and save ourselves a ton of money? The other thing is when I first started, and the photographers that are the masters that I think most of us look up to, that'll always be the same, but there was a huge wave, a huge split where photography used to be about, or fashion photography and beauty used to be aspirational in the sense of like putting the model on a pedestal. And now it's meant to be attainable, beauty that you can attain, fashion that you could wear. And so photography split. So how it split is it split to the authentic and attainable, and it split to fantasy and perfection. And so my work tends to be more on the fantasy perfection side of it. But different brands usually most brands, you can tell clearly which end of the spectrum they exist on. So for example, one of my clients is Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath Cosmetics, like she does lots of things, but it's eye makeup and mascara. But if you look at her brand, you'd go, oh yeah, I see why Lindsay fits that brand. She's not the authentic, attainable. She's meant to be fantasy and creative. And so another one of my brands is, one of my clients is Morphe Cosmetics.
I love
And
Morphe.
and they do all the influencer brands, or like they've got the James Charles line and Lipstick Nick and all that stuff. And so they are more in the fantasy because these are creative influencers. It's not makeup you'd wear every day. But then you go to something like Glossier and it doesn't look like in the photos they have any makeup on whatsoever, but it's a makeup ad. So that's something I've had to adapt and try to figure out which brands fit me, as well as try to shoot some imagery that might have a broader appeal besides just the fantasy perfection brands. That's probably the biggest one that I've had to adapt to.
Cool. Thank you. That's a great answer.
So talking
Okay,
about
thanks.
brands and clients, how do you balance between teaching and clients and the rest of your life?
What's really nice about teaching is that I can diversify my income flow.
Mhm.
So right now, I don't need to give an exact number, but when I had many bigger shoots that were all right when this all happened, and honestly, I don't have these huge shoots clumped together and it was like all at once and they all just disappeared. But I wasn't afraid of like, oh, can I, pay my mortgage? Can I pay my bills? Because I've written books. So I have royalty from books and Creative Live and Kelby. So I know that I have income coming in from my own teaching. So it was a saving grace for that. But the other thing, when in normal times, non-world shutdown times, that's really nice is that I love teaching and I enjoy it. And I can say no to the teaching jobs I don't want to do. And I also can say no to the shooting jobs I don't want to do, because either one can bring an income. If there's a job that the client seems difficult or it's just not something I want to shoot, even if it pays fine, I can say no. And so that's how I balance. I basically pick what do I think makes me happy right now, balanced with money. And so it basically just brings me joy and balance.
Mm-hmm.
I got another question. What do you think is harder for you to do? Be a photographer or be an instructor?
I think it's harder to be a photographer for me. It doesn't mean that I don't think I'm good at what I do, but actual commercial shoots, like there's a mix of technical challenge, but also it's emotional because you'd have to figure out the client to be happy, and happy not only with what the images look like, but also their personality. And like, just to give you an idea, the last commercial shoot I did, there were 2 clients from the agency, the ad agency, and then the client, and there are 4 people there, and they're all standing over the screen disagreeing. But as they're disagreeing, we had 4 models with 2 looks for each. So we had 8 looks to do. And as they're disagreeing, time's just going by. And as soon as a model goes past the agreed amount of time, it goes into overtime fees. But I have to work within a very specific budget, and they're going to yell at me for making sure the production was on time, even though it was them arguing. So it's like, it's more that it's when I teach, everybody who's there is happy, wants to be there, excited to be there. And on a shoot, it's people's jobs. And so they take it seriously, as they should, but sometimes it's a little bit more stressful. So That's why creative shoot days are obviously more enjoyable. And if I can integrate creative shoots and education, that's the best of every possibility, which is why, I did like the magic of gels course that I did. It's because I'm like, I love gels. I like shooting gels. I'm going to put together something where I can shoot awesome things and teach you. And then I
Nice.
don't think of anything better.
Cool.
Another question coming in is for you, your personal thought, how many photos should a beginner photographer have in their portfolio?
All right, I'm going to answer it by not answering it first. My portfolio being a 20-year veteran of shooting. That background's awesome. I have 40 images in my print portfolio, but my actual digital portfolio, I probably have 100. And my print portfolio, I switch out the 40 images based on who the client is. So I only show them the images that I think are like exactly going to excite them, show them what they need to see. So on a portfolio, I'm going to make this up a little bit, but I think that you should have no more than 3 or 4 categories, like on your website. So is it babies, maternity, like whatever it is, keep it to maybe 3, maximum 4. And then within each of those, you shouldn't have less than 10, but you shouldn't have more than 20. Because I guarantee you, when you get past the 20 mark, you have weak photos in. And I know anytime I'm looking through a portfolio that's bigger, I'll see a weak photo and it makes me question the photographer's abilities. Even if 19 out of the 20 photos were awesome, but one of them was just not good or cheesy, I go, oh man, like
That's the one you remember.
That's the one I remember. So I think best case scenario, do like 3 categories with 12 to 18 images in those categories and lock it out.
So everyone's being quiet there. Who else has questions?
Oh, I got tons of questions, but
You can ask as many as you'd like.
I'm in your group. I love your group. Every time you comment on something on my post, it's kind of like, she commented on my post. I actually have a screen capture, show my wife, look, she commented.
Next time I'm going to comment something mean. Just
Deal.
kidding. And then show it to your wife and be like, look, she's being mean to me.
Hey, man, she's from
That
New
means
York,
she
man.
loves me.
That's right. That's right. Totally. I remember one of the first times I felt like a real New Yorker is I was crossing the street and I was in a crosswalk and a cab pulled up and wasn't going to stop. And so I turned and I yelled and I slapped the taxi and just shouting at him. And I was like, oh, I feel like I belong here.
I did that once when I moved to Seattle. It doesn't go over as well in Seattle as it does in New York.
I mean, if they're going to hit you, slap their car.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
people
know.
get scared of you here. I just expect it there.
Yeah, but it's because you've got your biker do and you're like, you look tough. I'm sure I'm less intimidating.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I love your teaching style.
Thank you.
And I want to show you literally, I finished yesterday the gels. And today I'm recreating your YouTube video that you showed today about the lighting. So you can see beauty dish and.
Oh my God, that's so cool. That's literally, I just posted that video. You were on it.
Yes. So I do that with all of your videos. I post you all the time because I need to make sure that I get exactly what you're showing on your videos. So I'm teaching so much. So it's just a big thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. That's awesome. I love to see that you have that set up. Like that's so cool. Because sometimes, so here's the thing too, is one of the reasons I like having Facebook groups where I encourage people to share. Sometimes I'll create something and then like, I can't tell how people are doing. You know what I mean? If it doesn't have a group, I'm like, did you like it? Was it good? And so it's nice to actually see that. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Nice to virtually meet you.
Yes, well, I'm a big fan. So
Where are you located?
Yes, the same
I'm
question.
Yeah,
in
because I'm looking at the space. It looks awesome.
Well, it's actually I'm in California, but this is a guest house because I'm actually building my little studio. That's why I was asking how big was yours.
Gotcha.
So this is a temporary place, but I've been spending hours, literally hours, and doing each video, and I have like all the diffusers and I have everything. So when you say put this on, put the gel on, or put the
Yay!
the grid or the big beauty dish. So I have everything. So I'm spending all this time, just doing.
and all this money. I can tell you got lots of good stuff. It's all right. No, so for the studio space, I don't know if it's already built, but I think, in my opinion, if you can go a minimum of 12 feet wide, because 9 feet fits the background and then a little wiggle room on the side, and then depth, like 17 feet. John, when you're shooting, how far back would you say from when you're in your living room are you from your subject?
It depends. For headshots, I'm probably only 3 or 4 feet away, but if I'm doing full lengths, I can
Full
be up to
length.
20 feet away.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so I think if you can do minimum of 12 wide and 17 to 20 deep,
Yeah,
that would be
Well, that's
ideal.
actually it. It's 12 so my shooting area is 12 by 20. I think.
Perfect.
A little bit extra for sitting area and bathroom and all of that, but
That's
the way
perfect.
I designed it was like that. Yeah. Oh,
Okay, you're well, if I told you something totally different and you'd already done it, but that's great. That's perfect. Murphy, come here. My dog's barking. Carrot and treats worked before. Carrot, treats. You want a treat? You want a carrot? He came over and then saw I didn't have it in my hands, got all mad. Come here.
Just so many times you can do that.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna try to scoop him. Come here. Hold on. Stay.
Okay.
Murphy.
Headphones back in. This is butt facing you guys. Hold on. We gave him a quarantine haircut, so it's not the best grooming he's ever had, but say hi.
Hey, Murphy.
He's my best friend, and Chris is my second best friend. Oh, he looks so uncomfortable. Hey, relax. I'm one of those crazy dog people. I kiss my dog, I cuddle my dog, I dress up my dog. You love me?
That's a New Yorker dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's very prissy and always dresses up. And he's gonna teach the class now, right, Mom?
Nice.
There you go.
So he does something super funny. Whenever he's at a shoot, he goes out on set, even if it's a full-length shot, and sits next to the model's feet.
Of course, I got a boy. He does the same.
It's sweet. It's so sweet.
So how often do you get to shoot with Chris?
Trying to think the last time. So most of the time, by the way, hi. Most of the time we shoot separately, but we'll help each other. So he had a big NBC job where he was shooting the key art for like a crime drama TV show. And I was there in capacity as an assistant. Like that was my name on the call sheet. And I would help him out. And I was basically there to where I'd like come up and I'd whisper something in his ear, something that I thought maybe he missed, or if maybe something, hey, do you want me to tell that girl to take off her bracelet or whatever? So it's usually that. I did another shoot that was a big set, and it was dramatic, and it was weird because honestly they should have hired Chris for the job, but they hired me because I knew the wardrobe stylist, and so they basically wanted me to do his style. So I said, Chris, I actually tried to get them to hire him instead because I'm like, I feel like I'm just ripping him off, but I was the connected one. So he came and assisted me for that shoot, but I did a good job ripping him off anyway, so it was fine.
Yes, we always need someone to watch out for hair ties on the wrist.
Yes. That this is specifically what happened. The other thing in the crime drama shot, is, so they had like he had the lead in the front, the lead actress, and then people that are supposed to be nondescript victims in the background, but they were really low key, but the girls were wearing jewelry or they had buttons on their shirt. So it would be all dark silhouettes, but then this little reflections all over. So I was taking gaffer's tape, cutting it up and like putting it on all of their buttons and then like holding their jewelry for them and that kind of stuff.
Tracy's asking, how is it that you're so articulate?
I'm hyper, and so it just makes me talk a lot.
So they're also
there-
asking, have you ever submitted or worked with galleries? And if yes, what do you submit when they ask for 3 images? Similars, difference, a series?
This is sending it out to anybody out there. I have never worked with a gallery, but I would like to. I would find that an interesting and different challenge, especially if the idea was that I shoot some sort of collection as a body of work. Like I find that cool. Sometimes I like to do it, like when I get creative, either a single image where I just explore something for the sake of it, or like a longer series that's telling a story or exploring a concept in depth. So yeah, I've never done it, but I would like to. So somebody please come say you want me in your gallery.
We'll put it out there.
Tracy.
Someone, Indranil, I'm not sure how to pronounce Indranil Duda, is asking, how does somebody show you their portfolio?
So sometimes I do portfolio days, like where I call out and say, submit 10 to 20 photos and we do portfolio reviews. If it's single images, I usually just say, put it in my Facebook group. And then you have to tag me, like say, hey, Lindsay, because I might miss it because a lot of people post. And then I give a quick critique. But I think it's always valuable when you go into a critique, letting the photographer or whoever's critiquing know what you're looking for, which I want to expand on this actually. So first and foremost, I can't tell you how many critiques I've done in person. Wait, I'm going to throw shade. Like I used to do the critiques at Photoshop World, and I think they're valuable, but so many people would come to get the critique and would be so defensive that they clearly didn't want to hear what I'd have to say. So I felt like sometimes I'd end up just telling the person their photos were nice the whole time, and it was such a waste. So my point is, if you want to get a critique, have an idea what you want feedback on. Hey, I want to know about this pose, this lighting, the impact of success of the photo. How about in my portfolio, what you think the strongest body of work is, any areas you think that I should focus on improving. That's why I think single image critiques are sometimes rough, but not as useful as a critique on multiple images, because then I can see common repeat problems. Like, okay, I see you struggle with posing, or whatever. So in New York, I actually pay to have my portfolio reviewed. There's something called PhotoWorks. It goes to LA. They sometimes do Texas. They do Seattle sometimes. Sometimes they've done it in like Detroit. It kind of moves over, but it's New York and LA for sure every year. And how it works is you get 15 minutes with the reviewer, and you get to pick, like, let's say you do 5 reviews, you get to pick 10 people you'd like to be reviewed by, and then they give you 5 of those. And the reviewers could be people at ad agencies. They could be people that work for a specific cosmetic brand. In my case, it could be a producer for HBO. Like it's a range of different things. And it ends up being that you have 15 minutes. They have little bells. So 15 minutes and switch. 15 minutes with the person. It's about $100 to $115 per meeting for 15 minutes. So you gotta know what you want. And that's why I think it's important to like come in with what you're trying to get out of it. So a couple of years ago, I was looking at my portfolio. I think it was 3 years ago now, where I was putting together my portfolio with Chris. And I like to print my portfolio images and then decide which ones make the cut. Like I don't print all of them, but I print, let's say there's 40 in my book. I print like 60. And then I try to figure out which ones are going to go in. Like physically, I can see it. And so we laid it all out, and I used to market heavily to fashion brands. And I laid it all out, and I remember looking at Chris going, oh crap, I'm a beauty photographer. Because like the ones that I really gravitated for, and when you looked at my book, it was more than half beauty. So I paid to go to these portfolio reviews. And the first time I went, I met with, again, all beauty brands, like brands or people that are ad agencies that have these, or producers that work with ad agencies that have beauty brands, all that. And I sat down, and I wasn't looking for them to tell me my work was great, and I wasn't looking for them to hire me. I said, looking at this portfolio, what do you feel is missing or could be improved to make you want to work with me? And it was like the best, because I had no idea. So some people were like, for me, working with, whatever, Maybelline, I very much need to see more macro close-ups of eyes. Okay. I need to see a shot specifically where the eyes looking up, and you can see the eyelashes against the eyelid, like that specific. I was like, okay, I can do that. My biggest critique that they gave me is on the skincare shots. I had makeup on my models, and like eye makeup or lip gloss. And they said, for most of skincare, it should look like barely there. It should look like they're not wearing makeup. I shouldn't see any of the makeup. So it's things that I wouldn't have thought of. So that's why I think critique is awesome. And I still try to do it. I do once a year now. I used to do it every 6 months, but it gets expensive.
So which of your Facebook groups should they post in? Is that the Create?
Yeah, Create is the one for if they want feedback. Again, just tag me, say, hey, Lindsay, can you give me feedback on this? And if you've taken my Master Studio Lighting course, we have a private group for that. And that one I'm in like every day, every other day, I check in. Create is a little less. Mm-hmm. That's, once a week or something.
So Randy says he's lost when trying to select an image that should be in the portfolio. Do you have suggestions on where to start when selecting your images?
Okay, so first part obviously is know who your target clients are. If you're just doing this for fun, who cares? Just show images that you want to show the world. But if you actually have people that you're trying to hire, want to hire you, make that list. So every year I make a list of 50 clients or 25 dream clients and 50 other potential clients. And I'm thinking, what would they want to see? What would they need to see to hire me? Which is what I asked in the portfolio review. But beyond that, find photo friends or colleagues or mentors whose opinions you respect and ask them. I ask Chris for feedback on my portfolio and images all the time, but he also knows that I reserve the right to completely ignore what he said. Because sometimes even when I ask him and he says, oh, I like this one, it'll actually in me go, oh, but I wanted the other one. And then it just made up my mind for me. Like sometimes I just needed to hear someone say the opposite for me to be like, no, I disagree. So that I felt more secure about my first choice. So I don't know. He doesn't love it, but it's part of his boyfriend duties.
So when you change your photos in your portfolio based on the client, what kind of binding does your portfolio have? Is it loose leaves or a post binder?
So I used to do the sleeves, and then I had a portfolio review where someone actually told me that sleeves are unprofessional and look like crap. And I was super embarrassed and it was awful. So don't do that anymore. So I get my portfolio printed this was near your old studio, House of Portfolios. Mm-hmm. So they actually moved, but like just a different floor. So House of Portfolios, they do custom everything, like anything you can ask for. The size of the book, a book on the outside, embossing, the fabric on the inside, the number of pages. So mine is bound where it's cut, scored, and drilled. So it's got like a kind of a book binding in the middle, and you have to put all the pages in, and then it's one of those little screw things to make it stay in. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That was a really bad description. I don't know what it's actually called. And so the size of my book was to fit 40 images, but you can get it to fit more, but you have to know the number you want to present, because in the book binding style, it has to be a specific size. So like, I can't show 20. If I want to show 20, I have to show 40 because that's the size of my book.
Thank you. What material is the cover of your portfolio book?
It's not a normal material. It's like it's kind of, so I can tell you, I don't have it here because I'm in Jersey, but it's gray, and it's like it's technically probably a plastic, but it's got like a really nice texture to it. It was almost like
leather. Looks like leather.
Chris's. No, he got a different one. No, so I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. Oh man, what would be a good? It's like, it's slightly shiny. It's like a slightly shiny gray with texture, and then my logo embossed. It's like it's a fabric, but it's got like a part of it. It's a blend. Like it's part of it's like got a kind of a plastic in it. That was a terrible answer. I don't even know what they call it. Like I know it was called the Lux Chrome, but what does that mean? Let me see. I can tell you what house of portfolios. Okay, let me see if what my exact order was. Let's see. And then you have to give them your logo, and they lay it out all nice. Yeah, all I have here was like Lux Chrome cover. But and then inside my portfolio has the book, and then it slides into a box. And then I got a carrying case for it that has my logo on the one side in leather that's like sewn in, and then the opposite side you can put a FedEx mailer or instructions for delivery, and you can take off the strap so it can be shipped directly without additional packaging. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
It's just funny.
I always worry, but I felt I was probably in some day. By the way, these pictures behind me, Lindsay, are from your workshop.
I noticed the one directly to your left. I'm like, that, I know that one. Yeah, I totally know him. Oh, that makes me feel happy.
Well, it was a wonderful workshop. These I didn't put up just for today.
Okay.
When people come in, they know the kind of things that I like doing.
That was that would have been funny if you went through that much effort that you put up that. No, I appreciate that. I think they look great. Related to your shirt, I have a friend who all of his clothing just says tired. It's not a political statement. It's not anything. It just says tired. He's got hats that says tired, shirts that says tired, just everything. And I asked him about it, and he's just like, I'm just tired. Okay.
Yeah. Tough time.
Are you planning on reading a new book?
I'm currently working on a fine art nude.
I got your tutorial video, that was cool. And I also got your PDFs of nudes with pregnancy, ballet, and the men.
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that you cannot post that kind of stuff on Facebook. I've been banned like 3 times. I'm kind of a man, kind of sad. I
don't do it on Facebook. I do it on Instagram, and then I blur stuff out.
I follow both your accounts. They're dope.
Thank you. It sucks because I don't really have any good place to really beautifully show that work, except for prints, and I'm not in galleries. So like, I just do it because I enjoy it. And then when I create beautiful photos, I usually learn something from the fine art nude shots that I can apply to other areas of my work that might actually make me money. But I just do it for the joy of it. And so that's what the next book will be. So I finished 90%, 80% of the writing, but then like I have to shoot some of the tutorial stuff, and I can't. so to be decided when that book comes out.
Sure, you can shoot it in the quarantine. That's what.
I could I feel like the Zoom photo shoot would be a little creepy for fine art nude. Oh my God. Okay, I'll do that one. No, you got to hold it in front of you.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Wait, hold on. Wait. Got it. Thanks, John.
that's a styrofoam mannequin. It looks stone, but it weighs absolutely nothing.
I mean, I want to do one of the shoots where it's cliche and been done a million times, but I still want to do like the mannequin with that, then you superimpose someone's head. I still want to do that. It's cool.
Magdalena has a lighting question. For a gray, rainy day, which I have almost all the time in Scotland, what would be your approach to create a soft, natural-looking light and keep skin looking fresh and natural color, not a grayish magenta when the light is really dull? So, Magdalena, is this strobe, or you're trying to create the look of a window light? Can you clarify that a little more?
I agree with that sentiment of wanting to know what she's trying to achieve. But I will say, I use, like, for me to get like that warm skin look, I'm obsessed with scrims, but they're incredibly impractical. Like, scrims are the big frames with the diffusion material. But the light is so soft and delicious and wonderful, and I love it, but you have to have the space. Like, my scrim is an 8 by 8 foot, and then you have to elevate it up. So I think, Magdalena, I see your clarification. Strobes, as the light is too dull to use, I was looking to buy one. I have the space. So I have a class, it's free. It's like a webinar you can look up, that it replays every once in a while, that it's the top questions to ask when buying studio lighting. And I would recommend looking for that, because what I help you do is figure out, okay, so how much power do you need? What modifiers are best for you? How to figure out like what brand might be a good fit. And John, I want to hear what you think on this, because there's a million different ways to answer this question. Because the question tends to be, if you're saying the outdoor light is dull, that makes me think that you want something with like a little bit more contrast. Because you want a little bit more pop, and you say it's gray, but at the same time, you can take a gray overcast sky and change your white balance and really warm things up.
Well, I guess the question I would ask, this is in the studio to simulate outdoor light? And if so, or to simulate natural light, and if so, are you looking to do outdoor natural light or window natural light? Because the sun behaves differently once it comes through a window.
And let's just pretend you have all the money in the world, which I don't know if you do, but just in case, I'm obsessed with the Profoto B10 Plus, because it's portable, but you can also plug it in, and it's 500 watt seconds. It's just like $2,000. So if you have a ton of money, I really like that one, but no problem if
So she's
not.
saying in the studio to create natural light of an overcast day. So an overcast day, the light's not coming from any one particular.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, am I there? Or
I got you.
Thought
came
maybe
back.
my microphone died. So you need a large pool of light coming from all directions. So there you're going with like a white 6-7 foot umbrella or something like that in the corner. That's going to just fill the studio completely, and you want white walls around you, because outdoors, if the light is all even, the light 5 feet behind your subject and 20 feet behind your subject is still the same, because the sun's so far away, even the clouds are so far away. So the inverse law, square law, doesn't really apply, because the light is parallel when it's reaching here. So you need depth of light. The light needs to be farther away from your subject than you normally would, so that the light is deeper into the scene. If you wanted to create window light, then you'd bring the light in closer with a smaller softbox. It sounds like overcast day, just big sources, but you add a 11-inch deep zoom or magnum type reflector to give that little bit of sparkle in there.
Yeah. So I'm looking at, she sent the reference for the brand Massimo Dutti.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it. So it obviously varies from shot to shot. I think that at times they're using scrims, at times they're using soft boxes, tends to be big, soft, broad light sources with white reflectors or white walls, like John was saying. So that's what it looks like. They vary the position. Sometimes it's to the side so that it looks more like a soft box. Other times it's overhead, and then they let a lot of light spill and bounce around the room, which gives it a very overcast day indoors look. Like the more spill and bounce you have, the more natural light it will look. And they're using a warmer background as well, and then warming up the white balance. So I think a lot of times they're using like a beige background or like something with a subtle warmth, and then using a flash white balance. And when you do that, sometimes the cloudy white balance, sometimes the skin will look a little too warm. So what I'll do is I'll desaturate just desaturate the entire image just a little bit, so the whole thing feels warm, but then it's a little flat, so I add some contrast. So to summarize, warm background, subject on it, shoot a warmer white balance, you have to figure out which one you like, then desaturate a little bit and increase the contrast. I think that's closest to what the Massimo Dutti look is. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crisp. I mean, it's almost a film-like look. I don't know if they're doing processing for that. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it's very warm, like 81A filter or stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Questions to ask when buying studio lighting.
Yeah, I made it because I have so many people that are like, I don't know what to get. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to know the right questions. Like, what are you trying to do? Do you need it to be indoor or outdoor? Does it need to be both? What's your budget? Like that kind of thing. Steven, I like your background. It looks like you're about to get eaten.
It's interesting when Steven stands up to walk away, he walks into the image and it disappears.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm a zootographer, so I'm suffering without any zoos to go to right now.
Yeah.
But that's the class I taught for Kelby was the art of zootography.
Where do you live?
So cool.
Out
That's
in
such
California.
a good idea.
Yeah, I'm in Oakland, California,
Okay.
and I've been producing a lot of things for people to use during the shutdown. And zookeepers love having these kind of photos. Zookeepers, docents, other zoo volunteers really enjoy these backgrounds.
I love that.
While they're, on their Zoom meetings. So
That's so cool.
I also turned some of my my photos into coloring books. I desaturate and then basically turn it almost into line art, and posted those so that kids could color animals. I mean, what else are you going to do?
That's awesome. I love that. But also I love the concept of your class. That's really cool because I like shooting animals for fun, but like I'm not gonna go on a safari to like the point isn't to like go shoot lion. Like if I went, it would be for the enjoyment of it all. And so I like it. If you just want to have the nice click to have a gorgeous shot of some animals, yeah. Totally.
Well, if you get a new lens and you want to go play with it somewhere, chances are a zoo is a really good place because if it's a macro lens, there's stuff to shoot. If it's a zoom lens, there's stuff to shoot.
Totally.
And if it's a wide angle, you go up to where the lions or the giraffes are and you practice that, or you shoot panoramas. And then there's people. And then in a lot of the zoos, there's architecture. And in most zoos, it's like, a lot of plants and exotic plants.
Super smart.
There's always something to shoot at the zoo. So I call myself a zootographer.
So I had an internship my freshman year of college for a photographer in DC. John, do you know John Harrington?
Yes.
So John Harrington, I interned for him my freshman year in college. And so I went to DC and I was, living there alone. And I would go to the zoo all the time to shoot just for the joy of it. Like I had no, it was just for fun. But they had leopard what do you call them? Kittens, like the baby leopards.
Kittens.
And I would wake up before dawn to take the first train, subway, metro out to go see it. And I have never seen so much money worth of gear in one place. It's nice. Like, cause I thought that I was unique having this idea. And there were, 200, 2.8 after 200, 2.8 on down the line. And I had my 100 to 400. Like I wasn't like, terrible, but it was awesome. And they would come out and they would yawn and then they would disappear. So you'd get like 4 minutes with them. It was awesome.
Well, this is my handsome boy here, but he likes to hang out in a place. He's a Jaguar.
Jaguar, yep.
And he likes to hang out in a place where my 200 millimeter 2.8 just wasn't long enough. And my 2 to 500 millimeter at 5.6 was too big. But if I cut it back to 300 millimeter at 5.6, I wasn't cutting through the fencing. So I just received my 120 to 300 f2.8.
Oh my gosh.
Which it's only $9,500. Anyway.
But you're gonna bring all of these?
No, that's the whole point. That's why it's a 120 to 300. So I'm hoping I'm only going to carry one lens.
What's the variable aperture?
It's 2.8.
It's a fixed 2.8.
It's a fixed 2.8. Yeah. Well, it's $9,500.
No wonder it costs that.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm also going to carry in a pouch. I'll carry a couple of teleconverters if I need them.
And what?
All right, to be honest, it is actually worth that price if it's that. I get it.
For me, that keeps me from carrying a backpack with 2 lenses and this and that. And I forget because I'll take the backpack off and then I'll walk away and then I'll have to run back because it's got my 70-200 or my 200 to 500 in it. And I so far so good, but yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that lens existed. I mean,
it's brand new. I'm one of the first to have it.
I have no use for it, but that doesn't mean it's not cool.
Right. Who makes that lens?
It's a Nikkor.
It's a Nikkor.
Made in Japan.
Wow.
So, I could have gone with the 300 millimeter 2.8 prime for a third the money or half the money, I guess. But then I'd have to carry an extra lens.
Well, and not that I have extensive wildlife shooting, but I did actually go on a safari and I just never had the right lens on. So I get it. Like it was whatever one I needed, it wasn't on my camera.
Yeah. Well, Moose Peterson has a beginning wildlife class on Kilby where he takes his 600 millimeter, he puts it by his desk and he opens his sliding glass door and he has chopped down some of the limbs on the tree outside his window so that there's really only one place for them to land near the feeder. That's not cute. I love moose, but that's not beginning wildlife.
I'm trying to think of my beginning wildlife. We have deer at my house here. They come out every night at the same time, and my dog freaks out and has a heart attack at the same time every night. Yeah, but I'm still not taking pictures. I just look at them.
So,
they're
Lindsay,
cute.
have you gone mirrorless?
Yes. I'm looking at in my eyes a very special camera over there, but I can't tell you about it. But yes, but I have. I switched. Well, I was shooting the 5D Mark IV and the EOS R, depending on the job that I needed them to do.
Right.
So I was using the EOS R primarily if I went outdoors and needed the face and eye tracking for narrow depth of field. But in the studio, I tend not to shoot narrow depth of field. Sometimes I do, but I'm usually at f8, f11. So
same here.
Yeah.
Except
but I can't say much, but I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, I'm on a tripod all the time, and I really love the R in the studio because I just turn on the back of the camera. It's like working with my 4x5. I don't have to have my eye up to the camera, talking into the back of it. My model can hear me. I can.
That's actually so cute. I never thought of it that way, but it makes perfect sense. Like when you look on the back of glass.
Yeah, because it's a large
Super
size
smart.
on the back of the R, and you got the eye focus thing. So it's I bought it in June and hardly used it, and then all of a sudden I switched to it, and I don't think I've picked up my DSLRs since.
Yeah, I mean, I had the whole thing where I never knew, like, people were into mirrorless, and I was like, I don't really need the exposure simulator. Like, yeah, it's fast, but I don't need it. And oh, well, killing the battery life. But as soon as I tried it with eye tracking,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just never good at focusing at narrow depth of field. Like, I just wasn't. And now I'm like, holy crap. No one is? Oh, it's not just me. Okay.
No,
good.
well, especially if you're trying to manually focus, because the ground glass in the camera simulates an aperture of f4 to 5.6.
Right.
So if you're at f2, you can't tell from your ground glass if you're in focus or not. You either have to use live view or autofocus. Or
No,
cameras used to have interchangeable view of focusing screens, so you can get a screen that was ground specifically for fast lenses. But the standard one in the
Really?
camera has its own depth of field, so you're seeing everything at f4, even if the camera's at 2.8.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so
Well, then I'll just use that as my excuse at why I was so terrible at focusing. I mean, I just remember the first time I got, it was the Canon, what, 51 2?
1.2, yeah.
But like, wait, like a long time ago. I'm talking, like, I probably got this in 2007 or something. And I was doing a portrait shoot, and it was a test. Thank God. It was the first one. And I literally, I didn't know that you can't just shoot at 1.2, like, and just go with it. And so I think maybe every 18 shots, I got one where I nailed the focus, like nailed it.
If you breathe or the subject breathes,
Yeah.
even if you could focus it.
I eventually figured it out, but no joke, I've been shooting with the eye tracking. I can nail 1.2 regularly.
Yeah.
I don't usually shoot that wide anyway.
Do you have
but
the
still.
RF 70 to 200?
I don't own it yet, but I've shot it.
Yeah.
But I will have it when this is all over. I'll get it. I've got the RF 85, the RF 70, 24 to 70, the RF 24 105, and I think that's all. And the 50.
Yeah, the only RF lens. Well, I have the 24 to 105 and the 70 to 200. I never thought I'd spend that much money on a lens, but it's been worth it.
I did happen to see how much that was. I was actually surprised, only because I bought my other 70 to 200 so long ago. I hadn't bought a 70 to 200 in how many years. So I was like, oh, I forgot how much this stuff costs. I hadn't bought it. Oh, also, crazy. Just as a side note, in case anyone didn't know, when you're an Explorer of Light, they don't give you free gear. Just so everyone knows. It's not like you get free stuff. But I can borrow and test stuff whenever. But that's not why.
You change to medium format?
I mean, for the way I shoot, I personally haven't seen a need for it. And the other thing is I shoot very quickly, and anytime I've ever shot, at least the medium formats I've shot, it really slowed me down. That doesn't mean, like, Chris shoots medium format.
Pentax, right?
So he switched to Fuji because Pentax stopped coming out with new stuff. Like he's not sure if they are. Like, he doesn't. So he's got the GFX. Am I making this up? I don't know the brands. The GFX 50 megapixel one. And I see what he can do with it, and it's beautiful. So I just think it's whatever's the right tool for the job as a photographer.
I was never into medium format anyway. I went 11 by 14, 8 by 10, 4 by 5, 35 digital. I skipped
you went backwards.
Right, but I skipped the 2 1/4.
Yeah. I never had that either.
So does anyone else have any other questions here? I mean, we've been going for a while here. Give Lindsay a little break.
Oh, fine. I appreciate you guys being patient for me, and I also appreciate the good questions. And I adore you, John. It's always nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and I don't know when it is again.
WPPI a year and a half ago, because I didn't make it out there this year.
Do you? If next year happens, are you going?
I hope so. My big ones have been the Palm Springs Photo Festival is one I really like to go to. And
I have never been to that,
That was
and
supposed
I
to be
need
last
to.
week.
Yes.
But they're moving it to September, hopefully. So we'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, like I am down. Like I always schedule workshops for myself. Forget that Palm Springs exists. I've never
Yeah.
gone,
First
and
week
then
in
I'm
May.
booked. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I got to work with Dan Winters there 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
That was a fun session.
Is he nice? Wait,
Yeah.
we're live. You can't say this. You can't be like, no, that. Sorry. No. Oh man, does he have any similar personality to Chris? I feel like they have a similar like look. So I don't know.
I don't know. I never really thought about them together. The thing is, we had a class of like 12 students, and we had a power pack and 2 heads for almost everyone. And I was assisting on that. So it was just loading and unloading the van in 108-degree weather.
My gosh.
It was crazy.
That sounds awful.
Went out to the desert with portable pro photo packs. So we were using packing heads at that time.
No, that's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty warm there.
But I definitely, I'm on my to-do list when the world opens up and fixes up. I'm going there to take a class, because I can't tell you guys the last time I've taken an in-person class.
Yeah, there's a lot of great instructors there.
How do they get those good instructors?
I mean, it's people
Just
who've been around
ask?
for a while. I guess so. I mean, that's
crazy good
That's the
people.
last place I saw Jay Maisel was there 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Greg Gorman's off in there.
Mm-hmm. I know he does his own thing too, though.
Yes.
So a lot of these people don't teach anywhere else.
Dwayne
Like I've never seen
Michaels.
him teach.
Yeah, Dwayne Michaels was there last year. It's an interesting group. So Palm Springs Photo Festival, if people are interested in that.
Well, you and I talked, John, and we'll make sure we go at the same time one of these years.
Very good. Let's see, one more thing coming up in here. Have you ever tried product photography or still life?
I tried it and I was terrible.
Believe you that.
I was really, really bad. I think with there's a current style of product photography I think I'd be good at. Do you guys know where it's the hard light main with a soft light fill, bright colors so you see the shadows and it's very graphic? I could do that. However, I tried like photographing food and I tried photographing like shoes, and I was just terrible at it. So thankfully, at least
shoes are very specific. They're tough.
I had no idea. Nothing came out good.
Yeah, even back in the 70s and 80s, I had friends who only shot shoes in New York, and it was like, you specialized. That was the real specialization.
Totally. Well, but just as an example, I never have to. So I just did a commercial job. Thankfully, that one got in before everything closed up for Morphe. And I shot a campaign for a new palette, but I didn't do the product photography. I shot it on the models, and then it was entirely other shoot day, entirely different team for the product. So they seldom do the two cross, thankfully.
Okay, I'm just typing one of my URLs into the chat there. I've started this thing I'm calling Virtual Studio, where I'm doing online training or demonstrations. Say you want to see an octabox versus a soft lighter versus a softbox. You don't have the equipment there at home. You don't have a store nearby. You can hire me to do a Zoom like this, and I'll have all the modifiers ready. You ask me, let's see what this one looks like. Let's see what that one looks like. And we shoot live, tethered, so you see it on the screen. At the same time, the files get loaded into Dropbox, so you can download them also and have them to look at your convenience. And then you see, and I try to write on a whiteboard in each shot all the settings and what modifier it is and the distances and everything. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that page.
I got my first class tomorrow with you.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, Simon's going to interview me in his podcast. So
I hope you're really mean to him.
Yeah. To what you want.
yeah.
Who's going to be mean? Simon to me or me to Simon?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll be
I
mean
don't
to
know.
each other.
Because John, you got the serious, biker look, but you've got the tattoos. So I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. And the New York hat.
New York
You're
Yankees
saying you
hat.
got the attitude.
That's not
Yeah,
New
exactly.
Yorker than that.
Wait, hold on. I didn't see it. Wait, what is it?
Kiss.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Simon's probably the world's biggest Kiss fan.
Oh, yes, I am.
Really? Have you done tribute photo shoots?
I was planning to like do something like with the fine art notes using the colors, but
Yeah, get on it.
cool.
Cool. Well, thank
sounds
you all
awesome.
for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, this has been a lot
Thank
of fun.
you so much.
Be safe, and I will see you all
Yeah,
soon
wash your
and
hands.
online.
Very
See you
cool.
soon.
Nice to talk
Be
to
well
you.
all. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Let's stop.